Welcome back to Living Well After 50. Your heart might be in danger. Do you know these 11 silent warning signs? We're diving into some surprising signs of heart trouble that often, fly under the radar, especially for those of us over 50. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter for even more tips on living your best life after 50.
We often think about the classic heart attack symptoms, the Hollywood heart attack, but heart damage can be much sneakier than that. What's concerning is that many early signs are so subtle, they're easily missed even by doctors sometimes.
Okay, so let's talk about this silent threat. What exactly does that mean for someone like me who's feeling pretty good overall?
Well, even if you feel healthy, there could be things happening beneath the surface slowly impacting your heart. Think chronic inflammation from an old injury or the kind of stress that just becomes part of daily life. By the time those dramatic symptoms hit, there might already be significant damage.
That's a little unnerving. So early detection is really key here.
Absolutely. It's like catching a crack in your foundation before the whole house starts to shift. We want to spot those warning signs early and take action.
So let's get into these 11 unusual signs. Our sources lay out some pretty surprising things, starting with swelling or pain in the calves, especially after physical activity. That seems like something you'd just chalk up to getting older.
It's easy to dismiss, but this could be a sign of peripheral artery disease, or PAD. It's a condition where plaque builds up in the arteries, narrowing them and restricting blood flow to the legs. What's alarming is that PAD isn't just a leg issue, it's a strong predictor of heart attacks and strokes. Studies show that people with PAD are several times more likely to experience these life-threatening events.
Wow, that's a wake-up call. I guess it's not just about how our legs feel, it's a window into our overall heart health. And speaking of surprising connections, our sources also point to bleeding gums, or gum disease, as a potential heart health issue. I mean, what does my smile have to do with my heart?
You might be surprised to learn that gum disease, or periodontitis, is actually a serious inflammatory condition. The bacteria from those infected gums can enter your bloodstream and travel throughout your body, including to your heart. And just like with PI, this inflammation contributes to plaque buildup in your arteries, increasing your risk of heart disease.
So taking care of our gums isn't just about aesthetics. It's a crucial part of protecting our hearts, too. Now, this next one is particularly relevant for many of us in the 50-plus crowd: snoring and sleep apnea.
It's tempting to brush off snoring as just a noisy annoyance, but it could be a sign of sleep apnea, a condition where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. Each time this happens, your oxygen levels drop, putting a strain on your heart and increasing your risk of high blood pressure, arrhythmia, and even heart failure.
So it's not just about getting a good night's sleep for ourselves, it's about protecting our hearts in the long run. Now, what about sudden extreme weakness? Is that different from just feeling a little tired after a long day?
Absolutely. We're not talking about the normal fatigue you feel after exertion or a busy day. Sudden extreme weakness is like your body hitting a wall. It's an intense, overwhelming fatigue that comes on suddenly and makes even simple tasks feel impossible. This can be a sign that your heart isn't pumping blood effectively, which can be a precursor to a serious cardiac event.
That's a scary thought. It sounds like it's important to pay attention to any sudden changes in our energy levels and not just assume it's part of getting older.
And what about skin issues? Our sources mention a connection between chronic skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema and heart disease. I always thought of those as separate issues.
The common thread here is inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
Both psoriasis and eczema are inflammatory conditions, and chronic inflammation throughout the body plays a significant role in the development of heart disease. So while having psoriasis doesn't necessarily mean you'll develop heart disease, it's a reminder that inflammation is a serious issue that shouldn't be ignored. So it's like our skin is giving us clues about what's happening deeper inside our bodies. That's fascinating. What about unexplained nausea or indigestion? Could those really be signs of a heart problem?
Believe it or not, digestive issues, particularly persistent nausea or indigestion that doesn't have an obvious cause, can be a sign that your heart isn't pumping blood as efficiently as it should. This is especially important for women as they often experience nausea and stomach discomfort as early warning signs of a heart attack.
That's really important information, especially since we're often told to look out for chest pain as the hallmark of a heart attack. It sounds like women may experience it quite differently.
You're absolutely right. It's crucial not to dismiss persistent nausea or indigestion, especially if it comes on suddenly or is accompanied by other symptoms like shortness of breath or dizziness. Seeking medical attention promptly is vital.
Okay, that's a lot to consider already. We've covered 6 of the 11 signs so far. Should we take a short break before diving into the rest?
Sure, let's take a moment to catch our breath and we'll be back with the remaining 5 unusual signs you need to know about.
Sounds good. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Okay, so we're back and ready to delve into those last 5 unusual signs we need to be aware of. What's next on the list?
Well, now, you might not think a persistent cough or hoarseness that just won't quit has anything to do with your heart, but it can be a red flag.
I've dealt with that, especially during allergy season. But how is that connected to heart health?
It's all about your heart's pumping power. When the heart isn't pumping blood efficiently, fluid can build up in the lungs, leading to a persistent dry cough and sometimes even hoarseness. It can be a sign of congestive heart failure.
So even after a cold or allergies have cleared up, a lingering cough could be signaling something more serious is going on.
Exactly. And if you notice this along with other symptoms like swelling in your legs or ankles fatigue or shortness of breath, it's definitely time to see your doctor. Speaking of things we might not readily associate with heart issues, fainting spells are another time we shouldn't ignore. Fainting spells. I always thought of those as something that happens when you stand up too quickly or skip a meal. How could that be related to the heart?
Well, fainting or syncope happens when there's a sudden interruption of blood flow to the brain. Our brains need a constant supply of oxygen-rich blood to function properly. If there's a disruption, whether due to an irregular heartbeat or a blockage, it can cause dizziness, lightheadedness, and even fainting.
So it's not always as simple as needing a snack.
Right. If you experience repeated fainting spells, especially during physical activity, or if they're accompanied by chest pain palpitations or shortness of breath, seek medical attention immediately. It could be a sign of a serious underlying heart condition. Now, here's another surprising one: excessive sweating. We all sweat when we exercise or when it's hot,
Mhm.
but what about sudden drenching sweats for no apparent reason?
I'm picturing myself sitting calmly and suddenly breaking out in a cold sweat. Should I be concerned?
Yes, especially if it happens out of the blue and you feel clammy. This kind of sweating, especially when accompanied by other symptoms like chest discomfort, nausea, dizziness, or shortness of breath, could be a sign that your heart is struggling.
Wow, this is really eye-opening. I had no idea sweating could be tied to heart health. What's next on our list of unusual signs?
Let's talk about anxiety. We all experience anxiety from time to time, but what if you're having sudden, intense anxiety or panic attacks for no clear reason?
I could see how that would be concerning. But how could anxiety be connected to the heart?
Your heart and nervous system are closely linked. Things like high blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, and poor circulation can actually trigger anxiety-like symptoms. In some cases, persistent or unexplained anxiety might even be an early sign of underlying heart disease.
So those physical sensations we associate with anxiety, like a racing heart or shortness of breath, could actually be stemming from a heart issue.
That's right. And this is especially important for women as they often experience anxiety, nausea, and fatigue as early signs of a heart attack rather than the classic chest pain.
So it's crucial not to dismiss those feelings of anxiety, especially if they're accompanied by other unusual symptoms. What's the last unusual sign we should be aware of?
The last one is decreased tolerance for exercise. Have you ever noticed that you get winded more easily during activities that used to feel effortless?
I think we can all relate to that as we get older, but is that always just a normal part of aging?
Well, some decline in stamina is to be expected as we age, but a sudden and significant drop in exercise tolerance could be a sign that your heart is struggling to keep up.
So if I used to be able to walk a mile without breaking a sweat, but now I'm getting winded after just a few blocks, that could be a red flag.
Exactly. It could be a sign of heart failure, blocked arteries, or other cardiovascular conditions that need to be addressed.
This has been incredibly insightful. I'm starting to see just how many subtle ways our bodies try to communicate with us. What should our listeners do if they're experiencing any of these symptoms?
The most important thing is to listen to your body and not dismiss any unusual symptoms. If you're experiencing any of the signs we've discussed, especially if they're new, persistent, or accompanied by other concerning symptoms, it's crucial to seek medical attention promptly.
Early detection seems to be the key when it comes to heart health.
Absolutely. The sooner we catch these issues, the better our chances of preventing serious complications down the road.
So what can we do to proactively protect our hearts and stay healthy after 50?
There are a number of things you can do. First, focus on eating a heart-healthy diet. Choose whole grains, lean proteins, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats like omega-3s. And try to cut down on processed foods, trans fats, and excess sugar.
That sounds like a delicious and balanced way to eat.
It is. And of course, regular exercise is crucial. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity like brisk walking or 75 minutes of vigorous activity like running or cycling each week. Even breaking it up into 10-minute chunks throughout the day can make a difference.
Exercise keeps our hearts strong and helps us manage stress too. What else can we do?
If you smoke, quitting is one of the best things you can do for your heart health. And it's important to limit alcohol intake as well. Excessive drinking puts a lot of strain on the heart.
Those are all great tips. What about managing stress? It seems like everyone's feeling more stressed these days.
Stress is a huge factor in heart health. Chronic stress triggers inflammation, raises blood pressure, and can even lead to irregular heart rhythms. So it's essential to find healthy ways to manage stress, whether it's through deep breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, or pursuing hobbies you enjoy.
Those are all great ways to relax and de-stress. Anything else we should keep in mind?
Yes, don't underestimate the importance of regular heart checkups with your doctor. Even if you're feeling healthy, it's crucial to get routine blood pressure, cholesterol, and heart screenings. These screenings can detect problems early before they become serious.
So it's like getting regular maintenance on our cars. We need to take care of our hearts too.
Exactly. And remember, small lifestyle changes can make a big difference in maintaining a healthy heart for years to come. It's never too late to start taking care of your heart.
This deep dive has been incredibly informative. We've learned so much about the subtle signs of heart trouble and how to stay proactive with our heart health.
It's been a pleasure discussing this important topic with you. Remember, knowledge is power, and by being aware of these signs and taking steps to protect our hearts, we can continue to live our best lives after 50.
And don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter for more tips on living well after 50. We're here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay healthy and keep thriving. Welcome back to Living Well After 50. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today about how to protect our hearts and stay healthy after 50.
It's been quite a deep dive, and it's amazing how many seemingly small things can actually have a big impact on our heart health.
So what's the main takeaway here for our listeners?
I think the biggest lesson is to really tune into your body and pay attention to any unusual symptoms.
We talked about 11 unusual signs, but there are probably even more, right?
Absolutely. Every individual is different, so what might be normal for one person could be a red flag for someone else.
So what should we be paying attention to?
Well, keep an eye on your energy levels, your digestion, how your skin looks, even your mood. And don't hesitate to talk to your doctor if anything feels off.
It's about being proactive instead of just waiting for something major to happen.
Exactly. We have more control over our health than we sometimes realize.
So it's not just about knowing the signs, it's about actually doing something about them.
You got it. And remember, even small changes can make a big difference over time.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, think of your heart as a garden. If you want it to thrive, you need to tend to it regularly.
I like that analogy. So how do we tend to our heart garden?
Well, you nourish it with a healthy diet, you give it exercise and fresh air, you keep it free from toxins like smoking, and you protect it from the harsh elements of stress.
So it's a holistic approach to well-being.
Exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your heart and your overall health.
And that doesn't mean we have to make drastic changes overnight, right?
Not at all. Start with one small step today and build from there. Maybe swap out that sugary drink for a glass of water, or take a quick walk around the block, or spend 5 minutes doing some deep breathing exercises.
Little by little, we can make a big difference.
That's right. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There are so many resources available to support you.
Speaking of resources, don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter for more tips on living well after 50.
It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you today.
It's been a great deep dive. Until next time, stay heart healthy and keep thriving.